Hi guys, Dawn from Creative Appliques here. Today we're going to go over the steps on how to make this in the hoop mask. This one has a satin finish and it has the eyelets. It also has the pocket for the nose wire, okay? And we're going to go over what you need. You're going to need fabric, cotton quilting fabric, or you can use flannel. You can also use jersey knit. I would suggest jersey knit though only for the inside part, the part that is closest to the face here, so that the mask will maintain some sort of shape. You can use anywhere, as many layers as you wish. It calls for 2 layers, one for the fabric that is closest to the face and one that is going to be the outside of the mask. At least 2 pieces of fabric, the more the better. We'll add more filtration. So you can add excuse me, 2 pieces to the top. You can add, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. It's totally up to you and how thick you want to make the mask and how many layers you want to use it. All the sizes for the pieces that you need to cut are included in the PDF file. And the PDF file is in the main folder. So when you download the file, you will look in the main folder. There will be a PDF step-by-step instructions there showing you the steps on how to sew, and it will include the dimensions for the mask there. So you need the fabric. You need a good pair of scissors to trim the fabric while the design is in the hoop. You need tape to tape down the fabric to hold it in place while you're sewing it. You need some sort of elastic or elastic cording or t-shirt or t-shirt ties. These are t-shirt strips that I cut. You can use these, shoelaces, rope, ribbons, stuff like that. If you're not using the cording like this, the thing that helps is an awl, AWL, to help push the elastic through the holes there. You're going to need a pipe cleaner or some kind of wire. This is a 12-inch. This is a 12-inch soft bristle pipe cleaner that I fold in half and then put it through here, put it through the back. You can also use floral wire if you need. And then I have this handy dandy little tool that I use here. It's called a Crop-A-Dile, C-R-O-P-A-D-I-L-E, Crop-A-Dile, like crocodile, but with the C. And I use this to punch the holes in the side here. The owl also works if you don't have the Crop-A-Dile. So let's get started to sewing.
Now we're going to sew the placement stitch for the mask. Once this is complete, we will place the fabric on top of the stitching to cover all of the stitching, and we will tape it down in place, preferably outside the stitching if possible. Then sew the tack down for the fabric. Once the stitching has completed for the tack down for the fabric, we're going to trim it close to the stitching without cutting the stitching. Once that is complete, we will sew the buttonhole.
So now if you want to, you can take a little slit between the buttonhole here. You're going to cut the fabric in just a little slit, just like that in the stabilizer. This is where the wire for the nose is going to go through. Or you can wait and do it later. So now we're going to place the fabric down for the top piece and just tape it in place. Again, you can use more than one piece of fabric. You can use multiple pieces for the back. You can use multiple pieces for the front if you want more added protection.
Now we're going to sew the tack down for the top fabric. And once that's complete, we will trim close to the stitching. Again, being very careful not to cut through the stitching, but to cut close to the line of stitching, so that when we sew the finished satin stitch, we're not going to have any little pieces of fabric or thread poking out. Now we will sew the channel for the nose wire. Once that completes, we will then sew the eyelets and then the satin stitching. So when I recorded the video, I sewed the satin stitching first and then the eyelets, and I realized after doing it in that order, I needed to sew the eyelets first and then the satin stitching. So that's why you see here in the video that the satin stitching is done already, but the file will stitch the nose channel, the nose wire channel, then it will sew the eyelets, and then it will sew the satin stitching as the last part.
So now we tear it away from the stabilizer, and we use our little pick here, and we remove all of the tear away. And so we already cut this part here, and we can use our pipe cleaner and slide it in there. You may need to cut it to adjust the length. Okay, and now we'll deal with the eyelets. Okay, so now I'm going to take my crocodile and I'm going to use the this one here, the 1/8, the smaller one. You see that tooth right there? And I'm going to punch the holes into the side here. It's kind of hard to get this on video, but you could just take the hole basically right there and get it just so it's positioned, and now there's the hole right there. You can see. I will do it one more time to show you, and then I'll fast forward through to the end. All right, I'll do the other ones. So there are several things you can use if you can find this elastic cording. This is 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter or 2 millimeter works, and that goes through the holes very easily. I know it's really hard to find right now, so something else that you could use as well. This is a 1/4 inch elastic, if you can find that, and this is something you can get through the holes if you use an awl, AWL, or an ice pick, and just poke it through like that. You can use the flat elastic, and it works well too. The other thing I wanted to mention that you can also use is this is basic t-shirt knit, so you could use this as well. I cut it in 1/2 inch strips, and you can push it through the holes that way too, and so this works. Ribbon works as well. Let's see, I'm trying to think of all the other things I've been hearing that will work for it. Anyway, those are the options. So there you go, that's the mask all completed. It was done in the hoop, and thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so I know you enjoy my content and you find what I'm loading here valuable. Also, please subscribe and hit the bell, click on the bell so that you'll be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks so much for joining me today, guys, and make your life creative.